Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. And for today's video episode we will be looking at X-Men 2099. So we're back at Marvel, and this was one of the last series to come out of the original 2099 line by Marvel. So they had Spider-Man 2099, which I loved actually. That was like, when it came out, that was my favorite Spider-Man title, and favorite Spider-Man period. Um, and then there came out there was Ravage 2099, which I never bought. Apparently that was written by Stan Lee. And then there was Doom 2099, which actually sent our current, back then, the current Doctor Doom into the future of 2099. And then there was Punisher 2099. Those were like the initial releases, and then this came out. So yeah, a lot of people were wondering, when are they gonna do X-Men? When are they gonna do X-Men? Well, they finally did. And so this again is one of those typical 90s gimmicky covers. This one had, all of the first issues had this foil cover, And let's see, this came out. Well, first let's look at the cover, right? So this is drawn by Ron Lim with inks by Adam Kubert. Adam Kubert, of the Kubert brothers, and of course kids to Joe Kubert, famous artist. So Adam and Andy Kubert would go on to become, in this time frame, in this era of the 90s, mid to late 90s, one of the biggest artists that Marvel would have post Image era. The post Image 7 guys, right? So, the big guys, Jim Lee, McFarlane, Liefeld, and all of those guys. So once they left, these guys later rose to prominence. But both of those guys actually, Adam started as an inker, as you see here, and Andy started, if I'm not mistaken, as a letterer at DC, and then became an artist. I think he drew like the first Predator, or the first or second miniseries of Batman Predator, and then he jumped to Marvel, and did the X-Men. But yeah, so this is Ron Lim, and this is actually autographed by Ron Lim. All of my comics that are autographed were signed by the artists when I would go to Comic-Con in San Diego. And so yeah, let's see what we have here. So again, this is another example of why I keep saying that just because I have these in a black bag doesn't mean the comics are bad. They just one of many comics that I bought, along the way. So this came out October of '93. So this came out with around the same time that from the previous episode that we looked at the Deathmate crossover. So this came out at the same time as that, right? Just for comparison. So this is what Marvel was trying to do to compete with Image and Valiant at that time. And of course, Ron Lim was one of their go-to guys at Marvel for the guy most famously is known for drawing the entire Infinity saga. Uh, you know, he took over for George Perez after like the second or third issue of Infinity Gauntlet. He finished the last three issues, and then he did the Infinity War and then Infinity Crusade, which is probably around the same time. Um, so he was one of their big name artists, and of course, but coincidentally, I think he never actually drew the main X-Men comic. So yeah. So we have this character here that once you look at him, you think, oh, he's like a descendant of Gambit or something. But he's not. You're seeing a big X on the wall, so you're like thinking, oh, what's going on here, right? And again, the storytelling on these pages are all solid. Ron Lim, by this point, he's like at the top of his game, right? So you're not gonna see like wonky artwork. You're not gonna see anything that looks weird to you or anything. Everything is gonna be solid. He doesn't. He's kind of like from that old school mentality of everything sticking everything within the panel borders, but he does go, extreme every once in a while. But everything is pretty much just, pretty much constrained to like a simple grid pattern, right? So this guy comes into almost what looks like a nightclub environment. I don't know if they're fighting or they're dancing or what. So then we're starting to get to meet some of the characters here. So as you can see, this chick is a mutant who has Mr. Fantastic-like powers. And then there's this guy who turns into gold. Or I'm guessing to whatever element he touches, right? He could have touched that silver one and he would have probably turned into silver. Right? But again, everything that, everything, excuse me, everything that Ron Lim, is doing storytelling wise is leading you through the page nicely, right? Just a solid artist, someone Marvel could rely on at this time. Here you can see a little more creative page layout, right? In the terms of, again, it's all constrained, but then he goes here with open panels, and then this weirdly shaped panel, and then with the what do you call this, the brushstrokey type, that something that again that I mentioned in the previous episodes, that Los Bertasio would do, like breaking up, making the panel more of showing like impact and energy and power, right? And then we end on an open panel here. And then we switch to a city shot, futuristic city, of course. That's a nicely drawn horse. And you got this guy, Xian. I think he eventually becomes like the leader of the X-Men. I think he's this guy right here. So this guy touches kind of like the other guy, you know. He touched his bracelet and he turned into the material of the bracelet. This guy touched the rock and he became, or no, wait, that's his. It's a deformed hand because you can see he has it in the glove here, and the hand is a little mutated. So when he touches it, then he touches the wall, it breaks down. And then here we have a scene where they're like auctioning off mutants, right, to the highest bidder. Nice camera movement here, nice close-up. Again, probably the mentality of, when I say old school, you know, I'm referring to like the 80s style, 80s and 70s, 80s, 90s style. You know, this could have worked. I mean, this is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But probably made it a little bit bigger. Again, you have a contrast with this huge face, so maybe just reverse it, right? So make the face a little smaller, and then have the guy trying to escape. You know, the focus of the page. Maybe this is good because it's telling you what's going on. They're like in an auction and everything. Or is this or are they, was this like a public execution? I'm trying to, no, yeah, this is definitely like an auction. So again, I probably would have focused a little bit more on this page, but again, there's nothing, I'm sorry, this panel, but there's nothing wrong with it. Just how I would have approached it differently, but then again, what do I know? So this ends with this chick kissing our violent person here. And here's a cool promo drawn by Joe Madureira. So again, everything about this is just, you know, solid. There's nothing, if you look at Ron Lim's art, you know, that's someone that you can learn from. I actually, one time I did show my artwork to him, my portfolio. Here's Spider-Man 2099, a preview. And I did show Ron Lim my artwork once while he was in Artist Alley. So I guess they're previewing all of the comics on the 2099 line. And this kind of looks like Green Lantern. And he gave me some positive feedback. I remember he said that I had some solid storytelling. I can't say it. Storytelling skills. Solid storytelling skills. Try and say that 5 times fast. And he, you know, said, you know, my anatomy was, you know, good. You know, again, something that other artists always mention, that you know, you don't have to know like every muscle group in a body. You can fake some of it, and then it'll look fine for what they're trying to accomplish in comics, you know. And it's a lot of people get hung up with that, again, even though in previous episodes, I may note, point out inaccuracies that I notice with some of the anatomy, but as long as you can keep that to a minimum, because every once in a while you're gonna have like a weird panel or a weird perspective shot where something is gonna look off, right? But as long as you don't, you know, sell it off as it's just my style, Again, I don't want to get onto anyone like film, but you know, it's in certain points it does become distracting, but at the same time you have to remember that you're trying to make it visually exciting for everyone, right? For the reader. So it's not so much that you want to get away with it because it's my style. Uh, that's almost like a lazy excuse. Um, you do want to work at it because you want it to look at the same time. You want it to look at it believable, not realistic. That's the difference, right? You want it to look believable, and that this mythical, like this, obviously there's no such thing as a huge animal that looks like this, right? But if you make it look believable, then you can imagine yourself, well, that could look like something in real life, right? But again, there's a difference between making it believable and making it realistic. Realistic is what we saw something with the the Action Comics issue we reviewed by Jackson Guys, right? So that's trying to be a little more realistic. So his anatomy and his proportions have to look more consistent with what we see in the real world versus something like this, that's, or again, this, that looks believable, right? But it's also exaggerated. So that's where some people, you know, that's why some people, look at someone like Rob Liefeld and think, well, for the most part, it's believable, but at the same time, he does things that make you go, what the hell, right? So if you're looking at it with like a critical eye, you're gonna notice it. But if you're just looking at it, just looking at it, right, you're not gonna notice a lot of those quirks that he has in his art. But here, Ron Lim, as I said earlier, is a solid artist, right? Nothing about this looks, off to me, right? Everything is done really, 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 really good, really well. Is this the? No. He knows how to move around the page. He knows how to set things up. He knows how to lead you across, around the page. This guy gets it right in the face. But it didn't kill him. It stunned him, like, no. It's Shan, I guess he overloaded his powers, I don't know. And then he fainted. Alright, so here you see this guy that earlier turned into gold, so I guess he touched his silver bracelet and he's now covered in adamantium. Should have guessed it. So he's like the 2099 version of Colossus, but made from adamantium. So yeah, like I said, Xian, I don't know if he's dying or what, but then he, name drops the X-Men here. And there you go. So that's X-Men 2099, released in October of '93. So yeah, I only picked up like the first few issues of this series. I I remember thinking at that time that it would be a little more exciting, but it got kind of a little, not complex, but overly boring. And I dropped it. I stopped collecting it after the first three issues. I think, now that I remember, I think Ron Lim exited the series like after the third issue, and I think that was the only reason I was following the story or the series, because of, again, the story just a little meh, but because I liked Ron Lim's art, and once he left the book, well, I left the book. But again, you can see here during the previews, the preview for Spider-Man 2099. Rick Leonardi was the artist, and at that time he was, along with Jim Lee, this guy was like my favorite artist. So if I know we're doing this, black bag comic series, which we're only looking at comics that are not that important to me, and just random comics that I picked up along the way in my collecting years. But if you want to see some of the better comic example of what I liked to collect back then, we can take a look at some of that in another series. We might call it the long box or something, long box comics, or something like that. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching. And I know I normally don't ask for the typical, except for the first few videos that I did on my channel, the comment, like, subscribe, and all of that. But it does help, get the channel more exposure. The more likes you put in the videos, even the comments, even if you say cool or I hate it, or whatever, all of that helps the channel grow. It helps whatever algorithms YouTube uses to promote your channel. It's all in the hands of the viewers. So I try and do my part when I check out other channels. I try and comment mostly, because once you start liking a lot of videos, they clog up your when you look at your history and all of that. So I like to give a like to videos that I know I can reference in the future for something. But comments, I like to leave a lot of comments on videos that I watch. So I try and do my part on other channels that I look at. And so yeah, I appreciate every one of you guys that have subscribed, all 13 of you so far. And from about almost 2 months into the existence of the channel, the very first video that I uploaded, the Batman, the Keaton Batman custom that I made, that's proven to be the most popular so far. And so right now it's about, it could reach 100 views pretty soon. So yeah, that's cool. And yeah, so thank you to everyone again for watching and staying watching the channel grow, and I appreciate it. So yeah, thank you, and thank you for watching this video, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one.